Okay, you guys are live now.
Okay, it is 1:01 on Monday, August 3rd. I'd like to call this Finance Committee of the Caddo Parish Commission meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please, Mr. Clerk?
Commissioner Atkins.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Burrell.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Young.
Present.
And Commissioner Chavez.
Here.
All right, you do have a quorum present, and you have 4 or 5 members in attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Commissioner Burrell, would you please lead us in a prayer?
Okay, bow your heads, please. Lord, thank you for this day that you blessed us with. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Bless us, O Lord, that we may do the business of the people of Caddo, that we may do things right and in order. Bless us during this trying time, during COVID, that we all may be safe and our families may be safe. All these blessings in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Burrell. And Commissioner Young, would you please lead us in a pledge of allegiance?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Please stand. Civilians, place your hand over your heart. Veterans or active service members may salute. Repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Young. I'd like to move forward with any public comments. Any public comments from anyone on the call?
I have not received any public comments. I will go ahead and give that phone number in case anybody was planning to call in. It's 318-226-6596. But at this point, we do not have any telephone public comments or electronic comments that were received.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and please let us know if something comes through.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Would you like
sir.
to move on to new business now?
Please do.
Okay, so the first item is a certificate of teleconference. The only thing to note is due to the recent changes in the public meetings law, this is a different certificate of teleconference than what has been traditionally attached to our Zoom meetings. So, there's no change that you need to be aware of other than if you have any questions about it, that's why the change. That brings us then to the second item, which is to discuss the 2020 taxable property reassessments.
Okay. Committee members, if it's okay with you all, I'd like to discuss each of these 4 millage requests independently and vote on them independently. I think the first 3, I believe, will be fairly straightforward. The 4th would merit a little additional conversation. And hopefully you all have received the backup information I sent to you all on Friday regarding this 4th item.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that.
Great. Let's start with the bond millage. Erica, could you just brief us a bit on the bond millage, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioners, and Haley's on the line. I can allow her.
Sorry, I'll defer to that. Would be the appropriate. So
Yeah,
old habits break hard, but
I completely understand, but she'll explain the bond millages and the different millages between that you all have on your agenda today.
Okay, so the bond millage is a set millage at 1.5 mils, and that could basically make sure we collect enough taxes to pay our debts. And the debts are listed in the ordinance there, the $310 million debt payments. So we have to have the bond millage in order to pay those debts.
Okay, so this has been a pretty standard process where do we set that bond millage based on our interest?
We set it based on the need to pay payments, to make the payments. The legislative auditor does review that as well, and they will guide us if we need to decrease the millage based on our assessment and based on what we have in fund balance and what we have due. So that's something that they watch after as well.
And I understand it's come down meaningfully in the last number of years.
Yeah, I think Eric will have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at one point it was over 6 mills and now we're down to 1.5.
Okay.
That's correct.
Moving in the right direction there.
Yeah.
Any questions on the bond millage? It's 1.5 mils, not a large millage, but necessary to pay our principal and interest payments. Any additional questions on the bond millage before we ask the clerk to lead us in a vote? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
I should have mentioned before we actually took that vote that we are, of course, voting on whether to forward these items to the full commission body for consideration.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear who the second was on that. I thought I heard one, but I couldn't hear who it was.
I don't know that we got one.
I'll be second.
Okay, so I heard Commissioner Young. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Second. Oh, well.
Okay, great. So that motion does pass with a 4 out of 5 in support, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the rail millage. This level is set by the tax commission, or is established by the tax commission and set by state statute. So, but the local governing bodies are asked to approve those levels. I'm not aware of this having any meaningful change in recent years. Any comments on this one, Haley?
Point of clarification.
Yes, sir.
What is a rail millage?
Haley?
The rail millage is the millage on the railroads. The infrastructure related to the railroads.
Okay, and we have to pass a millage to support that, is what you're saying, that passes through the parish, or how is it related?
Well, the tax commission sets the millage, and you guys are accepting the millage that they set in order for us to collect property taxes on that property.
Okay, so this is a millage that we are receiving as revenue from the railroad?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the railroads own properties in the parish, and the tax commission sets a millage rate to apply to those properties owned by the railroads.
Mhm.
And then we, as a body, have to approve that recommendation from the tax commission.
Okay, that we receive.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we good.
Thank you. Commissioner Young?
Do we have any reason to doubt that this millage is adequate for the maintenance or whatever costs that it's required to pay?
We've had a millage of the same level for many years. It seems to be a nice balance. The commission administration has been happy with it, and the railroads have not raised any objections to it. So it appears that we have a balance here. But beyond that, I can't speak to the details.
Thank you.
Dr. Wilson, anything to add to that?
It's been satisfactory, sir. No problem at all.
Mr. Clerk, let the minutes read that Commissioner Lyndon Johnson is also dialed in. Welcome, LBJ.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so
Hello, everybody.
Hello, LBJ.
You're late.
any additional questions or concerns regarding the proposed rail millage? Okay, Mr. Clerk, could you call a roll call vote, please?
Can I get a
This is
motion?
regarding forwarding this to the full body.
Second.
I'll second, yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries with 5 in support and none in opposition.
Okay, that moves us on to the timber millage. This is a similar situation to the rail millage where the tax commission sets this level and by state statute, and then refers it to the local governing bodies to approve or not. It's my recollection that this current millage is for 8 cents an acre. I believe we've been at that level for at least my 5 years on the commission. Although our timber business does not own any timber in Caddo Parish, we are familiar with paying these taxes across Northwest Louisiana and other parishes and in East Texas, and it's a common practice through all municipalities that we're involved with. Any questions on this matter?
Move to recommend it to full body.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Johnson and a second by Commissioner Chavez. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Atkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
And that motion carries with 5 in support, none in opposition.
Okay. And the last millage is a little bit more complicated. This deals with our overall property tax millage as it relates to properties owned within the parish. As you all know, we do an assessment each year to estimate, or not each year, I guess. We do it
Every 4 years.
every 4 years. Every 4 years to assess the value of the properties in the parish that we will be applying our tax millage to. And due to the coronavirus, the tax assessment this year came in nearly $25 million below the 2019 assessment. That is a lot of money, but there's a lot of valuable property in the parish. That 25 million represents about 1.3, a decline of about 1.3% from the property values when it was done previously about 4 years ago. If we were to apply the 2019 millage rates, let me back up and say, historically we've kind of stuck, kept with our millage rates, and even though the property values tend to increase, we've kept our millage rates the same.
Right.
In this particular case, we have a unique situation in that the property taxes are declining, and the administration is suggesting that we bump up our millage rates to the maximum allowable rates. I don't want the word maximum to sound too impactful, because it really only represents about 0.5 mils. So it's not a huge number. But if we were to apply last year's millage rates to the current assessment, we would have approximately $800,000 less in revenue coming in 2020 than we did in 2019. If we bump them up to our maximum allowable, then the amount of revenue coming in would be just slightly less than the amount of revenue that came in 2019 by a few 10,000-ish. I think 20-something thousand dollars was the number that was estimated. So, the question is, might we want to raise those millage rates slightly? If we chose not to raise those millage rates, we would be applying 2019 millage rates to a property value that's $25,000 less, and that would have an impact on our budget.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
At some point, could you kind of give me an idea of some of the major properties that we have that we're assessing this on, just as a information?
Well, these are privately held, privately owned properties, citizen-owned properties scattered throughout the parish, including homes that are above the home tax exemption,
Homestead exemption.
Homestead exemption, as well as commercially owned properties and inventories. Haley could probably give us a feel for how that total revenue breaks out in general terms between privately held homes and commercial properties and inventory, or whatever the most appropriate way to break that revenue stream up would be.
As a question, do we make any assessment on our utilities, like phone and power line
Yes.
right of ways?
I'll
believe we-
defer to administration on that one.
Yes, we do. I'm sorry.
I can tell you that we have, we do report every year the top 10 property taxpayers, Commissioner Bureau. And Southwest Electric Power is our top taxpayer in the parish. So that's, I think, might answer your question about utility lines and so forth. They do pay the largest amount of taxes in the.
Could you just send me that list, Haley, if you got it available?
Yes,
Top
sir.
10.
Actually, today I sent you guys an email, and I can send you just a list, but I sent you an email with the CAFR in it, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. And in the back, it shows all that. It also breaks down commercial property versus residential property and all that. But I'll send you those particular pages as well. But just for future reference, they're always in the back of that report.
Okay, thank you.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Any other questions on this matter? Any other comments from administration? Right, Commissioner Young has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question is, if we bump up the millages this year, will they be bumped up next year? And if our property values go up next year, will we be getting more money than before?
I see Dr. Wilson shaking his head. Dr. Wilson, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. Once we set the property, you have to adopt the property millage every year in June. But once we set it, we don't see the increase unless a lot of new property come on board. So we don't, because this is a pretty much a neutral revenue neutral proposition for us with this move we're asking you to make today.
So we would have to set it again next year.
Yes, sir. Every year, every June year, but you can't go above the assessed value though, which occurs every 4 years.
Right. So next year we could go down to maintain our normal form of business if the property values go back to normal.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we've done that often in the past. When property values have increased, we've rolled it back just to keep our revenues basically flat.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, commissioners, for the last 18 years, we have never rolled forward any millages, even though we has recommended that we do that with juvenile. The commission board has not necessarily shared that point of view. So we always took the less amount for the last 18 years. Erica?
Right. Yeah, and the properties that are currently assessed, those property values would not change until reassessment for 4 years unless they appeal their assessment. And usually when you have an appeal, it's to actually lower it, not increase it. So those properties that are on the assessment right now stays the same for 4 years. Only new properties. So if you have a new construction or a new business, that's the only increase you should see within the 4-year period.
I see. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez, did you have a question?
Thanks, Chairman. No, I just wanted to get Haley, you provided a good, basically a cost analysis on the increase, because I know people are watching this, they're hearing that things like bump up and increase and max out. That sounds rather scary. But for the average homeowner, $150,000, $200,000 home, the increase, if we keep it the same, obviously it's the same, but if we increase it to the word maxed out, I know that may scare a couple people. What's the increase that they may pay next year on their property taxes? Just to put that out there to the public.
Okay, well, actually what you are doing would not give them an increase.
Won't be an increase.
There would be no increase to what they're currently paying. If you change the rate downward, or if you kept the rates the same as they were, they would actually save. So if they have $100,000 home, they would save $1 every year on their taxes. If they have a $200,000 home, if we kept the rates the same as 2019, they would save $5.40. And if they have a $300,000 home, they would save $9.77. So we're not increasing anything. They would receive the same tax bill as they received in the past. They would only receive a small savings that they would not even recognize on their property, on their mortgage payment, which is typically how most people pay their property taxes. Mortgage payments, mortgage companies will not even change their payment with this minuscule of a change in property taxes. So really the homeowner will not see anything significant, whether either way.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. I'm sorry, Commissioner Atkins, I want to interrupt.
No, you had the floor. It was my fault.
Okay. Yeah, so just basically to reiterate, it will stay the same. It would be if we changed it, that there would actually be a savings, and the savings to the citizen would be about $5, but obviously it would hurt the parish at about $800,000. So I'm with you, Commissioner Atkins, on we keep it like it is. So
well, I'm not necessarily saying that, Commissioner. I mean, I'm just trying to fairly represent the situation. Yes, Commissioner Young.
So for just my clarification, if we have, say there's I'm trying to imagine the person who would notice the savings, so a property owner who noticed the savings would be a property owner who has maybe millions of dollars worth of property.
Be that physical, like land or buildings or inventory.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And that's correct. Is that not, Haley? That would be the main impact would be on landowners, business owners.
Yeah, very large business owners, and I guess very, very large homeowners. The value of their property would have to be significant to even get to, say, $100 savings. I mean, you see a $300,000 home saves you $10. So you would have to have a $3 million home for $100, just simple math. I mean, that's, so you would have to be extremely wealthy to save $100 as far as homeowners go.
Okay. Anything else from any member of the committee?
Yeah, this says administrative point of view, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Wait, Dr. Wilson, I think LBJ.
Yeah, go ahead, LBJ. Sorry.
I'd like to hear from the committee members first, if we may.
Okay, go right ahead.
Well, I was gonna make a motion. So, Doctor, you gonna add something to it?
No, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm good.
I move to recommend to the full body the moving up of the tax as administration has presented to us today.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Johnson and a second from Commissioner Young to adopt the administration's recommendation to apply these modest bumps to the millage rates. Any commentary on that motion and that second?
Well, based upon the information that we received, we're basically talking a few dollars to the majority of the citizens of Caddo Parish. And when you're talking about multi-million-dollar facilities and houses, you're talking about a very small percentage, maybe 1-2% residential, and property on commercial owners. They will get a hit this year, but in years past, they've gotten a discount years because we rolled back so many years, and so they haven't actually had to pay what we could have had them to pay. So this is 1 year in which the revenue for the parish hasn't been coming in the way that it could because of all the things that's been going on and the assessments. And this is just a way to say, okay, well, for so many years we've got to roll back. This year we're gonna go roll forward. And I mean, it's something that should be expected over some period of time because it's just a cycle on how you do business and the way government is set up. So I don't really see nothing major on this. If it was charging people big lump sum of money, increasing taxes on the majority of the citizens of Caddo Parish, then I would probably hesitate or say we need to do something different. But this is only going to affect a few people.
Well, I think that I agree with everything you said, LBJ, except for I think you may have misspoke, and I'll ask Haley to correct me if I'm wrong. You may have misspoke when you said it'll be a slight bump for businesses. I think businesses will still stay basically the same as they have paid the last few years. They just won't get a discount on their, or a reduction in their property taxes.
That's
Right.
true.
That's correct.
Okay.
I just want to be clear. I don't think anyone's going to actually see an increase in their
Right.
in the dollars paid out. There's a small increase in the percentage of millage, but not an increase in the dollars paid out. And I would say when I first heard about this, I was opposed to it, just on a philosophical grounds. But after Haley ran the numbers and we saw how modest it would be, I'm willing to go along with it, if that's what the majority of the colleagues want to do. So we got a motion and a second. Any other comments before we ask for a vote?
So it didn't interfere with your ideology, any?
It does a little bit, Commissioner Burrell, but in the interest of compromise and trying to get along with my colleagues, I will.
Well, that's a good thing, Mr. Chairman.
I think Commissioner Young had a comment.
Making progress.
I just wanted to say briefly as a policy matter that in a time of economic distress, if we were going to make some sort of a discount to our population, it would be wiser for us probably to make it toward those who had lower incomes and lower net worth rather than to these very big businesses that are used to paying this tax level anyway. That's all.
All right. Okay. I don't see any other desires for comment before we go to a vote. Okay. Commissioner Everson, if you could, or pardon me, Mr. Clerk, if you could please call for the vote.
Commissioner Active,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Burrell,
Yes.
Commissioner Chavez.
Yes.
That motion carries with 5 in support and none in opposition.
Okay, thank you all. That reaches the end of our formal agenda. Any comments before we adjourn? All right, I will see you all at 2 o'clock. Thank you all for.
Liz got something to say.
Hey, LB.
Hey.
Hey, I just wanted to share with you guys, I was talking to the Caddo Parish and Bossier Parish tax assessor this morning, and I know the terminology is difficult on this. It is not a roll forward. If you want to discuss it, you say it's a millage adjustment. So that's the terminology they use, is a millage adjustment.
Thank you.
That may help you when you talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, I think we are formally adjourned. Thanks